Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning into this program. What I'd like to do is take you on a journey through the history of the city of Jerusalem. But it occurred to me as I was getting things set up that what I should really do at the start is to explain why it's important for Christians to know about the history of Jerusalem. The short answer is to avoid replacement theology. This teaching has led to anti-Semitism and the most persecutions of the Jews by the Christians. Jews have suffered persecution from Christians more than perhaps any other group of people down through the years. Now, Christians are not naturally against the Jewish people. Christians do teach that God set up the Jewish nation for the plan of redemption to save fallen mankind. God chose Abraham and created the Jewish people from his family. Then he revealed the law through Moses. Then the Jews came and conquered the land of Canaan, and King David made his capital at Jerusalem. So all of the events of world history eventually led to Jesus, who was crucified just outside Jerusalem. And this is where Jerusalem stops being important to most Christians. The main teaching of Christianity is that Jesus' death has provided the atonement for the sins of every person who ever lived. The emphasis is on faith, with the result is that the physical location has become less important. Christians teach that Jesus lives in our hearts through the Holy Spirit, so who needs Jerusalem? We can gain access to God right now at whatever place we are in the world. And this is where replacement theology comes in. This idea teaches that God used the Jewish people until Jesus came, but after that, they are no longer needed. The plan of God has been fulfilled with Jesus, and the Jews, because they rejected Jesus, are no longer part of God's plan. Just as the city of Jerusalem, once it fulfilled its part in Jesus' crucifixion, is no longer needed. This is convenient because Christians teach that there is victory in Jesus, but it's tough to be victorious when your city is ruled by other peoples. This has been the case for the Jewish people who have always looked to Jerusalem as their chief joy. They have had to endure their city being overrun by Muslims and at times Christians. There are many examples of this in the teachings of the church fathers. I can't go into this right now, but when Constantine legalized Christianity, Jerusalem did become an important thing for Christians, mostly just to build shrines at the places where Jesus' life, where he did miracles and where he was crucified. Jewish people, of course, were banned from being in the city, and the persecution of Jews in Europe became even harsher, even to the point where Jews were killed by Christians. Now, when the Muslims took over Jerusalem, they did allow Jews to live there, but only as lower-class people. To be honest, I find Jewish history very depressing. It's an unending list of persecutions and evil acts that were committed on the Jewish people. And of course, one of the tough things is what the Jews who lived in Jerusalem had to go through down through the years. Now, anti-Semitism continues today throughout the world, and I think it all comes from replacement theology, which teaches that Jews no longer matter in God's plan for the redemption of mankind, no more than any other people, so it doesn't really matter what happens to them. People can just treat them as badly as they want because it doesn't matter to God anymore. Now, I think it's plain that God's hand is still on the Jewish people. What other people have persisted all through these years in the face of being scattered all over the world with nonstop persecutions? And the great miracle is that the Jews have returned to their ancient homeland as a free and independent people. The miracle of the state of Israel is one of the proofs that God's hand is still on the Jewish people. So what I want to do is to fight back against replacement theology by saying that Jerusalem matters and that the Jewish people are still important. I think the more time that we spend looking at Jerusalem's history, the more we will say that Jerusalem is still important. I believe that the Lord is working to reconcile the differences between Jews and Christians, differences that should never have risen but did arise because of replacement theology. Going through the history of Jerusalem and the experience of Jewish people down through each of these generations will do much, I think, to reconcile the differences that were created by replacement theology. Now, Christians teach that Jesus will return soon, and we think as Christians that all of the other religions of the world will be surprised to see that Jesus' teachings were indeed correct. But I think Christians will be just as stunned and surprised at what Jesus does at his return. I don't know what that will be. I mean, I'll be just as surprised as everybody else when it happens. But I think that it will have something to do with how much the Jewish people will have a part in Jesus' plan. Those who dismiss the Jews out of God's plan will be greatly surprised. I think the more that we look through the generations of the history of Jerusalem and the Jewish people, the less we will be surprised in that day. So join me as we take some precious time out of our busy schedule to look through the past of Jerusalem.